What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to KvltDeFi. This is the channel really where we bring you the latest and greatest innovations in tech in decentralized finance, quite specifically on Pulsechain, but even more specifically in the Dev Jacob ecosystem on Pulsechain. There's been a lot going on. Map is around, Map is live. I will get to some of that in a second, but I have to say I'm absolutely, I'm a bit shocked actually. From the 11 different cities that we have in Mafia, 8 of those cities are now bought up. 8 of that metaverse land is gone forever. 8 cities are gone. They belong to you, they belong to the players, and you guys basically are on fire. You're staking them away, you're developing on the land, and right now, even though we're in early access of the game, you're actually starting to earn yield, right? You're starting to make money, right? This is, this game has always been about making real money, not just, pressing a few buttons and actually playing a game. This is a play and earn game. You're trading your time for real money, and it seems to be working, right? Tonight we have a special guest with us. Now this guy, I'm not sure if a lot of you guys will know him, but I've been a fan of his. I've been following him and watching his stream since way back. I'm talking way back in the early Pulse X SAC days. It was a long time, and he kind of, he took his time, stepped away for a while, but now he's back. And I'm very happy to have him on board with me today, actually. Very clever guy. So listen, you might actually even learn something. Brandon, how are you doing, my man?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you so much for having me on today. I just want to say I wasn't too caught up with what you guys were doing before you reached out, but I took kind of a brief look, before our conversation here. And I'm very intrigued but by what you guys have going on. The kind of SocialFi, GameFi space has been a really untapped well in Pulsechain. And we really haven't seen anyone kind of take the lead or get much, a great deal of traction with that. And, I perfectly imagine that could be a situation that might change one day. So I'm very happy to talk about, this and other things. And thanks a lot for having me on.
No problem. So why don't you do a bit of an introduction for the guys out there? Because you've been around for a while, right?
I have indeed. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Brandon B. I've been kind of a streamer on and off for a couple of years now, man. How time flies. When I started this thing, I didn't have any gray hairs, but now I got a couple. I'm 26 years old and I got gray hairs already from perhaps some of the stress of this market. But guys, yeah, I've been a YouTuber for quite some time. First YouTube channel was Millionaire of the Moon. I did that with a good friend Messin. Back in the day, we started off as a crypto channel. I think we got to like maybe 36,000 subs around our peak. And if I remember correctly, just to maybe toot my own horn for a little moment here, I think we were like the first big channel that was covering crypto, and then kind of switched over to focusing on Hex, focusing on Richard Hart. I think we were like one of the first big channels to do so. So A Million of the Moon, that was the first one. I switched over kind of around the Pulsechain SAC, PulseX SAC, to the Brandon B show. I'm getting much more active there, trying to talk about crypto once again, because like I mentioned to you earlier, I've always kind of believed in timing things. I haven't always been so successful at it, but I do think timing things matters. And right now is the time to be paying attention, getting more involved, because if things were going to start kicking off, getting more exciting in our chain, I think it's going to be not too far away. We have a lot of positive catalysts, hopefully soon. We have a much more positive regulatory environment coming in the U.S. hopefully very soon, very likely. Things can change for the better very quickly. We're at that point in the cycle where in the coming months, historically speaking, traditionally, this is where things truly start to heat up. I know we've seen, Bitcoin and Ethereum really start to take off, and that's hopefully likely to continue happening in the coming months. Nobody knows. I don't know. But at least historically, that's kind of the time where it should. And I think eventually we're likely to be the recipients of some of that growth. At least that's what I'm betting on. So that's a little bit about myself, a little bit about what I'm kind of focused on. If that covers it.
Yeah, cool. So let's dig into it a bit, I guess. So obviously, Sentiment is down a bit. You know, we keep having we were saying, right? We keep having these black swan events right, on our end. You know, we're getting pulled through a fence backwards. You know, by all accounts, constantly. Actually, it's constantly. Whether it's news about Richard Hart, or whether it's some of the projects that were being promised at the time. There's a lot of sacrifices going on back in the day, and some of those projects still haven't launched. Some have launched and didn't do exactly what people hoped they were going to do. But what I see from where I am, and I mean, I talk to lots of guys all the time, and I'm quite in depth with the community, and people are generally happy because things are still getting built, right? The infrastructure of the city of Pulsechain is still getting built. So we got all of that part kind of taken care of, if you think, but we keep just taking these, these gut punches all the time. How far do you think it's going to go? Do you think it's going to get much worse before it gets better?
Well, I think for kind of the short term here, I think the thing that's most on everyone's mind is this kind of Interpol nonsense, which I think many, if not all, of the people in Pulsechain land, see through this as nothing more than a very superficial, shallow attempt to cut down Richard Hart, take him down a peg, because I think kind of the bureaucratic entities behind the scenes see the change, the shifting tides, how they're very likely not going to be in power. There's this huge anti-crypto sentiment SEC wise is very likely to soon be shoot away very soon, and so they kind of know that they're losing. I think they know that they don't have a good case, and so what can they do to send a message to not just Richard Hart but everyone else, and just one kind of last final gut punch before they get kicked out is doing something like this, calling up buddies overseas, calling in a favor, because this is frankly ridiculous. The Interpol FUD, which is the piece of news, even though it's really old news that recently caused this this dip we're seeing. But man, like there's probably hundreds, if not thousands, of people that should be on that list well before Richard Hart. So he was accused of what? Potentially assaulting a 16-year-old. We have zero context behind that. That's just an allegation, innocent until proven guilty. We don't know if that was self-defense. We don't know if Richard was like robbed. We don't know anything. All we know is that some obscure bureaucrat that hates Richard is accusing him of this with literally zero evidence provided. So that's very, very silly. And then the tax stuff. I mean, look, man, if that stuff is not at all clear. That's why this is all being fought out, in the courts, because there's no regulatory clarity on how any of this is really supposed to function. So, because they know that, they're just trying to, create these legal attacks to get what they can out of Richard, since there's no real clarity on how this should ultimately be run. Although this is kind of all being figured out, and I think a lot of the legal precedent is going to be figured out moving forward with a lot of this case. So my point being with all that is that it's really, really a nothing burger. I like our side. I think the fundamentals have it's very interesting. There's been like a growing deviation where the fundamentals on Pulsechain are getting more and more solid, more and more people are building. But the price hasn't really caught up where the fundamentals truly are. And like you said, man, there's a lot of stuff on Pulsechain where we're all not necessarily the happiest about. The launch didn't go so smooth. We've been the victims of massive attacks. A lot of the projects launching on Pulsechain didn't go as hoped, and so prices are quite suppressed. But like I was saying earlier, another way of putting that is that there's opportunity now. When you're near the bottom, there's nowhere to go but up, right? So there are some very interesting things going on. I just kind of put a bow on this thought here. I did put a tweet out not too long ago just talking about the Pulsechain price structure. And we've been in this massive descending triangle for almost 2 years, I think 1.6, 1.8 years. And I think we have 2 months left, roughly, depending on how price goes, before we start getting near the end of this very, very massive macro descending triangle that we've been in throughout our entire existence. So very, very soon, I think Pulsechain is going to form a new macro structure. Not think it is. I mean, it's all magical lines. Your TA is magic lines, but that's very interesting to see, because suppose we get the new, more pro crypto administration with Trump in what, a month or so, not even. Suppose we get Bitcoin, Ethereum going up eventually whenever it does. A couple months down the road, that paired with a breakout of this price structure. I'm hopeful. I'm optimistic for the future. I know we've been through a lot, but we're getting to that point in the cycle where if things were going to start popping off again, I think that it's likely to be somewhat soon.
No, same sentiment, absolutely. One thing I am very happy about, or happy, all right, use your word, optimistic. I'm optimistic about the fact that when Ethereum starts to move, and then Pulse starts to move, when Pulse starts to move, all of these projects, all of these teams that have been building all the way along, they're all tied to Pulse, right? They're all tied to Pulse. So as soon as Pulse starts rising, everything starts rising. So every team and project that are out there now that have something built and that is functional and that is working, or the stuff that's in the process, they're all going to start seeing these massive candles too. And I'm very happy to say that that the team here at Pulse Mafia, we have Pulse Pot, we have Pulse Predict, we have a bunch of different projects, and they're all ready to go. They're all ready to take off, and man, I can't wait for that, because those green candles are going to be monstrous.
We've been so suppressed on this chain for so long. It's like people like to use this analogy. It's like if you try and hold like a basketball underwater, the deeper and the deeper and deeper you try to push down, eventually when it let goes, it just shoots up. And I mean, I think we both know, and a lot of people who've been around for quite some time know how truly little it actually takes to move this stuff. In terms of like the greater market and things that happen elsewhere, it does not take long. It doesn't take too much to move these things. It really doesn't. And we've been so wildly suppressed, man. Like you said, as soon as Pulsechain, Hex, PulseX, Inc. start to take off a little bit, a rising tide lifts all boats. Not just through Hart's Law, the liquidity ties, but just sentiment wise. Like this, as soon as sentiment shifts, we're going to see those green candles come right away. We exist in a market that sways between extremes, euphoric extremes and depressive extremes, both on the micro and on the macro, long time frame, short time frames. And short time frame, a lot of stuff is suppressed. Long time frame, our chain has been completely suppressed. I frankly think the bull market hasn't even touched Pulsechain. We've really just seen tastes of what's possible, but Pulsechain really has not seen a bull market yet. And we look at some of these other things that are doing well, Solana, whatever it is, but the problem with those things is that they've already done well. They're not cheap. Pulsechain is cheap. Pulsechain is dirt cheap. I was just looking at this just before hopping on stream. There's meme coins that are like 10, 15 times more valuable than Pulsechain, than our whole ecosystem combined. If you combine Pulse, Hex, Inc., PulseX, I don't know what EHEX is worth nowadays, but there's meme coins that combined all together are 10 times more valuable. Like, guys, we are extremely suppressed. And in other words, what that means is that there's potential, there's opportunity here, because all it takes is a little bit of traction, a little bit of goodwill, a little bit of positive sentiment, and we can move quite a bit. And again, just to speak to that fact that we've always swang from macro depressive extremes to macro euphoric extremes, and all we've seen, really, arguably, so far is macro depressive, because it's been just a massive downtrend. But what comes next? That's not guaranteed, but we're all betting on the what comes next part, and all we've seen is the depressive part. We haven't seen the euphoric part, which in one sense sucks, but in the other sense, it's opportunity. It's opportunity. So I am extremely optimistic. Things on Pulsechain are dirt cheap. They have, there's a lot of great people doing really, really great things, and they're so primed for, as soon as there's a little bit of traction, a little bit of positive sentiment, to start getting that use, and things can really, really take off. Like, we haven't seen anything yet. Like, pretty much the only people left super active, or a lot of the OGs, a lot of the builders, we haven't really seen what retail coming in looks like. We've seen, a couple, like literally a handful of like what are they called? KOLs, key community leaders from different communities.
Yeah.
Just a handful, like very, very few. I think the name is escaping me. Shill Gates was like a Solana guy. I don't know if you've heard of him.
I was talking to him a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So like he's an example of a key community leader who's come over to the Pulsechain land. But in my opinion, we're gonna there's gonna be a day where we see 20 of him, 50 of him, 100 of him. One day everyone's gonna be talking about it, or at least potentially, right? That's the hope. So even though things aren't the best right now, in another sense, that's really opportunity. That's what opportunity looks like. That's what buying cheap.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I've been saying this all along. We haven't even started yet. Like we literally haven't even started yet. This Mafia project we're going to be talking about, right? So that is probably 3 or 4 months in the making, but the bones of it, so a lot of the mechanics and a lot of the levers and pulleys behind it are from some of the other teams' projects that they've done. They cherry pick some of the best stuff across the projects to make this massive monster, and all of that time, it was just constantly building in the bear, because you need everything to be ready when people start coming over here, right? I was on with Coexistent Stephen a couple of weeks ago, and we were discussing this. We're discussing the city of Pulsechain. You have to have all the infrastructure in place when the people want to come over and play. They absolutely need all the infrastructure stuff, right? Signum right now, we're doing their Oracle, right? So I think Wednesday the Oracle goes live, first decentralized Oracle on Pulsechain. Fantastic stuff by Stu and the team. We need all of that stuff, but we also need the fun stuff. We need some of the fun stuff. So, and I know B Roots is out there with his with Teddy Bear, and he's pushing all these different memes and stuff like that. But as we'll absolutely have all the people that just want to play on memes, but we will have other people that actually want to look at more of the long-term play. What is Pulsechain? What does Pulsechain have, which is for, I don't want to say the more mature investor, right? Not that kind of thing, but for people really that want to look at it and say, okay, where can I actually park my money for realistically a long period of time? I want to try and put the money somewhere where it's going to work for me, obviously, but it really has some sort of longevity to it. So you don't have to worry so much, because I think right now, as you've been saying, we've been worried for years now, and every horse has its day, and it looks like this year really could turn around for Pulsechain. It really could.
Yeah, traditionally, I'm a big believer in the cycles, and I know people like to debate the usefulness and even the existence of the cycles themselves. I'm one to say that the cyclical nature of this market has been extremely obvious and extremely impactful. And if the historical cyclical nature of the market is likely to have any relevance moving forward, historically speaking, yeah, it's this year, it's 2025. If we're going to start to see that similar movement that we've seen in the past, it's this year. So, I mean, guys, like for those of you who sacked, for those of you who are like in Hex early on, the waiting forever part, again, if we move similar to how we have in the past, it's kind of over. Like there's maybe a couple of months left before things are supposed to start turning in the direction we all hope for. So yeah, man, there's not that much longer to wait. And so right now, like you said, it's the time to build the infrastructure. What did they say? Build it and they will come. All right. Build the things that if you have that sentiment, have that attention, will grab people and keep them here. So, one of the things that I've been interested in is keeping on top of all the different niches that have been, taking off on Pulsechain. And, we've seen kind of meme coins have their moment. We've seen kind of the PDI Tropa ecosystem appreciating stablecoins have their moment. But another, I think very interesting niche that we haven't really seen that I want to, find out more about from you is that SocialFi, GameFi space. So like I mentioned earlier, I kind of took a brief look at Pulse Mafia here, but do you want to just, fill me in real quick on what this is about, how this game works, and how you guys, want to capitalize on that opportunity with that kind of socialify, GameFi space?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, at the bare bones of it, I guess, what Pulse Mafia is, it's pretty much everything DeFi, just wrapped in a game, right? It's just wrapped in a game. So it's literally staking, NFTs, earning yield, NFT marketplaces. As part of that, then you have the metaverse. So literally in the metaverse, you can create a character. When you have your character, you can go and you can do various things in this metaverse. You'll be able to do heists. You'll be able to do some, organized smuggling as part of a family or as a rogue player. So you can do all of these things, and all of these things just earn you yield through a series of RNGs that we have from some of our previous projects. You're earning in-game cash, and this in-game cash is ratioed and tied to the Mafia token, which is an external token on a DEX, right? As we get closer to game launch, there's going to be bullets and health tokens also, which are traded on a DEX. So if you just want to speculate on the Mafia, on the fact that enough people will come to play this game, therefore the price goes up, you can do that. Or what we've seen so far on Pulse Mafia, for example, we've got like 25 different families. So groups of players have got together, they've created these families, and what these families are doing is ultimately fighting over territory. And then that territory, one will earn them yield through all of these various mechanics that we were talking about. But the ultimate goal for a family, I guess, is to take control of what we call the vault. So the Mafia token itself has buy and sell taxes, which keeps the in-game economy moving. And those buy and sell taxes go into a vault. Right now, we're just pushing, I think in the next 2 or 3 days, we'll probably have hit 7 billion pulse inside that vault, right? Which is about 350K right now, I think. And that's based on pulse price at the moment. And every week that vault will pay out 10% of its total value to the top 5 families in the game. Okay, so as it stands right now, those families will be getting $35,000 to split between them in pulse. And then they can literally choose whatever they want to do with that, right? They can choose to reinvest it in more opportunity within the game to strengthen up their numbers, to make sure that they are guaranteed the next week's payment from the vault, or they can literally just walk away with the pulse and do what they want, right? But what we've seen already, there's the family dynamics, and this is exactly where SocialFi comes into it. The majority of the game is actually being played right now within the Telegram chats. That's where everyone are having their private conversations, their strategy calls, all of these things. So we've seen already this, from the 1,000+ players that we currently have already signed up to play the game. They're all already chatting all their strategy and doing all the things. So real relationships are being made. There's people that have been talking now for 3 or 4 months that they had no idea who they were before. Maybe they were in one of our previous projects. Maybe they came from other ecosystems within Pulsechain. Maybe they actually came from even outside, right? Because this game is also played on BNB as BNB Mafia.
Oh, really?
It's basically the same game on 2 chains. And then when Chainlink's CCIP comes around properly, then we can extend that to other blockchains. And then we can actually have different blockchains playing against each other. So we could have a family on Pulse playing against a family on Base, for example.
That's really interesting. So let me see if I understand this. You play the game. It seems to be just to put it in more layman's terms, kind of that Clash of Clans style, where it's kind of that bird's eye view. You kind of build buildings, collect, expand your land kind of thing. You earn in-game currency. That in-game currency can be exchanged for Mafia. Is that right? Yeah,
you can exchange it on the way out. You can sell it within the game itself as well.
And with Mafia, let's see if I remember this correctly. 4% buy tax, 16% sell tax.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That goes to
into the vault.
Pulse treasury, the vault, which is the Pulse treasury, just under 7 bill Pulse, and that is then redistributed to the top players, the top teams,
to the top 5 families controlling territory. So it's in the family's interests to either one of 2 things, actually, to play nice, get along, so everyone has their vault position secured, or as we start to see new players and new families come on board, they might say, hey, look, this number one family is actually earning, $20,000 a week. Let me go and take on these guys, take on these players, and see if I can take that top spot. So within the game, you can actually kill other players. You can take them on. You can organize a hit. You can go and kill them. You can go to one of the biggest families and try and take down their Don, for example. Try and take down the top member, and automatically you become the top member.
That's really, really interesting. I like that quite a bit. And the more traction this gets, the bigger those vaults get. Mm-hmm. That's very interesting. And so if you want to like expand your land, play against other teams, how do you expand? How do you go higher in the rankings? Like what's the actual dynamic for how you get bigger and better at this?
So every player in the game technically starts from a nobody, right? You start as a nobody. You create a character. Creating a character costs 2,000 mafia, which is around $2.50, I think, right now, based on Pulse price. On mafia price, sorry. So once you have your character, then you can rank up your character's worth. Your character is basically the most important thing to you in the game, right? Your character is tied to whichever wallet address that you choose to sign up with. So once you have your character, you can go and build up the inventory. You can go shopping for weapons on the NFT marketplace. You can open these crates. I'll go through all the website in a second with you, but you can open these crates like a lucky dip type thing, and you can try and get more resource. Once you have your resource built up, then active families might come and look for you, and they might say, hey, you've got quite a bit of inventory there. You're a pretty strong character. How would you feel about joining our family? We can offer some protection to you. You can offer some stuff to us, and we can all get along. Or it can go completely the other way, and you might have a rogue player who just keeps ranking up and collecting bullets and collecting weapons and collecting armor, and his sole purpose in the game might be just to come out and start killing characters in game. Because if you kill other characters in game, you get a certain amount of their resource when their character dies. Ultimately, their wallet is getting blacklisted from the game. So if they want to continue playing, they would have to literally start another character and start ranking up again.
Oh, I see. Yeah, so that increases the stakes quite a bit, because if you've taken the time to build up this character, and again, all of this is ultimately redeemable by monetary value, so it kind of increases the stakes here a little bit. That's really interesting. So there seems to be the incentive to either play nice in order to be a part of a team that either has access or can have access to that pot, or rank up yourself, do the high risk thing of going after people, I suppose, because I guess there's risk with that, I would assume, and try and rank up that way. But this is all ultimately in the aim of getting access or being in that top 10, top 25 that gets access.
Top five families will get we'll get a payout.
I see. That's and can anyone start their own family?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So in order to create your character, it costs you 2,000 mafia, right? So $2.50. In order to start a family, you would literally need to go to the map in game and find an empty spot and create your family HQ. I think it costs 100,000 mafia, so it's $100 to actually set up your family, if you like, and then you just go recruiting for other players. Like I said, most of the game is actually being played currently in the Telegrams. So right now, if people jump into the Telegrams, ask the right questions, different families have their own recruitment arms already, and they will actually actively reach out to those players and say, hey, how about having a look at our family? Actually, I'll just jump into the chat here for a second, because I think some people are already trying to recruit you.
Hello, Goons. What's up, everyone?
Yeah, so we got Gifford Ware. He's the Don of the Gearheads, one of the highest ranking families at the moment.
I see that. Number 2,
He said excited for another great stream. Thank you so much for being here, Giff. Another, as Francesco says, the Gearheads are the best mafia family. Moondog is here again from the Gearheads, and he says, love and light. Hey, love and light, brother. How you doing? We've got Pentavision. Says good evening together. Switzerland. Nice. So we've got some Europeans. That's cool. Welcome to the block. Welcome back, Brandon. Maybe me or the boss could show you around sometime.
Sure. Yeah, no, thanks everyone. Good to see you.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a hell of a lot of going on, really. I mean, we've got between Pulse Mafia and BNB Mafia, probably 2,000 active players who are currently working on building up their territories. We've purposely decided to do a stage launch, right? So fill in, a little module, get it going so people can become accustomed to it as we go through. I'll share the website here just for a second, and I'll show you really how we've sort of done this launch, because as things start to progress along, this game is actually quite a bit of a behemoth, really. There's a lot to it, but initially, when we first started, okay, what's the first thing people have to do? So people literally have to create a character. So if you are to land on the Mafia page right now, you can see here, there's this button that says get started. By pressing get started, you will choose a character name, where that character is from, and the gender of that character. And then literally you're in game, right? You're absolutely in game. So in the game, you will be given and an avatar. And that avatar is basically your character, right? So that's what you have to protect with your life, I suppose, if you want to put it that way. Yeah, and then as you want to rank up your character in game. So we can see here, right? So Carnage is the #1 player at the moment on Pulse. His worth is 81,000, right? He's a member of the Gearheads, and we can see here that because of the rank of his character, and because of the worth of his character, he would actually be, when full game goes live, the vault will be paying him nearly 16 million Pulse every single week, just for being who he is at the moment. So we can see.
Sort of interrupt. Is that 81 million Mafia? Or sorry, 81,572 Mafia?
No, this is based on just his worth. So how strong his player is. And that's decided by sort of his inventory. So does he have a lot of weapons? Does he have a lot of guns? Does he have maybe some cars or some ammunition? All this type of thing. And this is something that players have, they can build up as they go through. Another way, when the full game goes live, another way to rank up your character would be by actually, carrying out heists, carrying out, robberies. In the game, there are some small robberies, like you can rob a hot dog vendor, and through an RNG principle, you're either successful or you're not. If you're successful, yes, you're getting some in-game currency, and this in-game currency obviously then is ratioed to Mafia token. So, you will actually know how much it's going to be worth when you actually decide to cash out. Obviously, things like robbing banks are in here. You can smuggle, alcohol, you can smuggle narcotics. Usually, that would happen between families because they actually need their smuggling route set up and they need some sort of cooperation. If you're a family in Colombia and you want to smuggle something into New York, you would have to speak to the family in New York who runs that territory and say, hey, how about, we try and make this deal? I can give you X amount of the profits. Or, I can sell it to you for X price, you sell it for Y price.
I imagine this is what Interpol thinks Pulsechain is like.
Yeah, well, it does now.
This is really, really interesting stuff, man. I don't want to derail you too much here, but very briefly, I remember, what was it, Axie Infinity last cycle? There were tons and tons of streamers that were like full-time, as a full-time job, playing a game like that, actually earning money. I know a lot of people that live in countries where the cost of living is much less, Thailand or whatever. It was really big in Asia. There was a lot of streamers doing it, and man, these are very much not insignificant amounts, like 16 million Pulse. And like, you got to think 16, like whenever I think of like Pulse, I don't think about it in today's monetary value. I think about
I don't think about it in today's money either. I think about where we're going to be when we start to do a 10x or a 15x.
Exactly. So all of a sudden that 16 million Pulse every week or whatever, 10, whatever it is very significant.
Yeah.
Extremely significant. This is really, really interesting what you guys got going on here. But please don't let me derail you too much. You were speaking about the kind of the dynamics of the game further.
Yeah. So basically, in order to rank up your character, you can go here to the crates tab, right? So to open a crate, you need a key. You need to purchase a key. Keys cost $20, right? So once you have that $20 key, you can go and open this crate. Inside this crate, there's a number of different things you can get, which we can see down here, right? So you can get in-game cash up to $10 million worth. You can get bullets, health, different shop items. You can get NFTs. The NFTs are used for different parts of the game, basically to do things like hide your inventory from other players, which is a very valuable thing to do, so you don't paint a target on your back. Things like bodyguards, cars, more keys, and also Mafia token, right? So through 2 different RNGs, so you one RNG, you will get which different category that you would choose from, and through a secondary RNG, it'll give you the value of that. So is it maybe 50,000 cash, or is it 10 million cash? All of that goes to ranking up your character. Now, what we've seen, it was quite interesting actually. We saw very early on this bunch, players obviously that would treat this almost like a revenue generating tool. They were opening up these crates like crazy, and then they were going onto our in-game marketplace, and they were putting those items up for sale, right? And they were putting them up for sale, and obviously, if you're a character and the cost of it, the cost of a key is $20, you might go on the marketplace and you might find a handgun which is being up there for sale for $6. So you can completely bypass buying the key, and you can literally build up your inventory by snapping up a good deal on the NFT marketplace. Other players we've seen, opened up some pretty high quality items that maybe they're not in a family. They're a solo player, and they have a lot of good inventory items that a family would need or require. So they were selling those items, and some of those items they've sold for a few $1,000s. So for the cost of a $20 key, I think the highest thing that I saw for sale was around $4,000, and someone actually bought it. It was a completed sale.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So there, at one point there was people on here that were making about $10,000 a week just by reselling really good items on this NFT marketplace.
Yeah.
I think right now we can see here that the total that's been sold on the marketplace is $312,000 worth of items. So effectively, this kind of makes this the most successful NFT marketplace on Pulsechain, right? $300,000, and that's just our little in-game marketplace.
The thing that jumps to mind at first with what you're showing me here is there's a great deal of rumors right now circulating with GTA 6. I don't know how familiar you are with the new GTA that's coming out. Yeah. I think they spent an ungodly amount of money creating that thing, $1 billion or something. There's rumors that they want to do something very similar in a sense where I get all rumors incorporate some kind of in-game currency and kind of in-game trading system where you could trade skins, trade this and that, maybe incorporate some blockchain element, NFTs, who knows. But I think the potential for this is very big. And like you just said, you seem to already be getting some volume. Now, you did kind of mention how full game is coming out later. Do you want to let me in on what the current state of things in? Like, is this currently just beta, and then full version will release soon? What are we looking at currently?
Yeah. Okay. So if I go to the in-game wiki, so we have like the in-game wiki, the white paper, if you like, that goes along with this. Now, this is a very, very involved document, as you can imagine. It's actually quite large.
Yeah.
But here it. Oh, I should stop sharing screen.
While you're pulling that up, I see Moondog in the comments saying Fortnite / Epic Games is trying to beat GTA 6 to the punch. Yeah, a lot of people are doing this. This is kind of the way of the industry is creating these kinds of marketplaces like this where you can kind of actually monetize your activity in the game.
I mean, it makes absolute sense to do, right? To do it. It makes total sense to do it. I think Crypto Kool-Aid. I don't know if you know Crypto Kool-Aid. Been around for a while. Like, way old hex guy. So.
Yes.
Yeah, he's actually part of the Gearheads as well. He's actually one of Moondog's best friends. He's a professional game dev. I mean, that's his bread and butter every day. And he when he talks about this game, I mean, I can't do it justice the way he talks about it, because he talks about it really from a proper in-depth standpoint. He knows exactly what he's talking about, and he can also see this game develop way ahead of where we already are, because obviously, you know, he builds games for a living, he knows. But if we go here, so the in-game wiki is basically the white paper. It has absolutely everything that we need to look at. And on the first page, we can see our launch phases. So launch phase 1 was obviously drop the token, right, to get the token out there. Then 2 was profile creation, which we saw, creating a character, family creation, and then the crates, and then the marketplace. Those were like the big steps that we had to take. But obviously, developing a metaverse, you need to show people the metaverse. You need to show people the land, which they're actually going to be fighting over, right? Ultimately, so that was our biggest step. It's phase here, phase 7. That actually should have a green tick on it right now because it's launched. And then the land, in like I was saying at the start of the stream. So out of the 11 cities on every, so there's 11 cities in the game, and 8 of those cities have actually already been bought up. All the land inside each city, there's approximately, I want to say, between 650 and 700 different individual tiles, and they literally, 8 of those cities have already been bought up. That's how that's how real, I want to say, dedicated the guys are, these families are, for getting this vault access. They want to control as much of the map as possible to control their share of map, because a lot of the different families have allegiances with other families. That's one way. For example, if you're a family in Colombia, you can partner with a family in in New York, and you can set up your trade route. And as long as nobody comes after you, or your family, you can literally just be printing this in-game cash, literally just printing this money and getting paid from the vault all the time. And like we say, right now, the 7 billion Pulse in the vault, based on today's price, is around 350k. Pulse does a 10x from here. Well, that vault all of a sudden is paying out $350,000 a week to the top 5 families. And that's only on a 10x. And that doesn't include new players and new families that want to come on board, and they're pumping up the vault value in itself anyway.
Yeah.
So,
volume,
yeah. So, I mean, when you talk about the fact that people could be playing this game as a full-time job, I mean, it's very, very real. And we've been saying it for a while. People can really sit down and dedicate a few hours to this, every day. Or actually, they technically don't even need to, because one of the big problems, and, one of the big problems that we saw, or that was thought about by the team, was what happens if someone literally just creates a script for their character to go and do things for them. So that they're not necessarily playing the game. They're just, they're just constantly, okay, go and do this heist. Go and do this heist 50 times a day for me. Right. Just as a script and see what happens. Yeah. So when the team thought that, I said, well, why not we just, let's make that a mechanic of the team, or of the game. So inside these crates, you can get what are called helper credits. And what that helper credit is actually a script, which will, you can set up. Well, I mean, no, we can't expect people to play this game 24 hours a day. You have to take time away. But while you're away, these helper bots can actually go and do these tasks for you. So it's, if you want to talk about, I don't know, passive income, if you want to, talk about whatever, however way you want to say it, I mean, the opportunity for really making real good money in this is, it's very real. And the money is on multiple chains. So, the vault over on BNB at the moment, I think, has about 220 BNB in there right now. And, maybe,
what's BNB at?
I don't know, maybe 170.
BNB is worth $712. Oh,
so 140.
So yeah, sure, yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously, we have plans like I was saying, when Chainlink comes around, we would like to do base. We'd like to go on base, maybe go on Solana at some stage. And I mean, ultimately, I think the ultimate goal is not just setting it up so people can actually start playing on other chains. It's funnel them all back to Pulsechain. Because when they see, okay, if they're playing a game and they're successful on one chain, and they say, well, hang on, I mean, I can just go and play the game on another chain, and the money over there is also real. So, I can literally just get more money by going playing the game over there too.
What's the idea behind funneling back towards Pulsechain, is it just kind of like an exposure thing where, hey, if you see the kind of the tab, we could switch between base, BNB, and Pulse? That's kind of the idea, eh?
Yeah. So literally, like, it's just one metaverse.
Yeah.
And different players, you can play on different things. I mean, as an onboarding tool for Pulsechain, I think it's huge. The potential is massive. And obviously, like you were saying even in the beginning, we don't need a lot of people over here to make Pulsechain skyrocket and be successful. Yeah, we really don't.
Yeah. It's funny, man, because it's interesting to see what actually gets traction, what actually gets adoption, not just in Pulsechain, but just in general. It's very rarely what you think it'll be. There's tons and tons and tons of great tech things out there, but a lot of it doesn't really get the traction people would hope. But the one thing we did, I remember seeing getting traction, was that kind of GameFi space. I think what we've seen so far is kind of proof of concept. We haven't seen a lot of long-term traction, but I think a large part of that is part of the boom and bust cycle. But if I don't think we've really started to see that take off in Pulse. And something else interesting that I recall from some of the conversations I've been having with other people is that, for people like yourselves in the Pulse Mafia team, it's really an incredible opportunity to be able to build before giant players with giant backings and giant money get in and start to build out the infrastructure themselves, which is honestly great, because in a sense, it's the community that's building out the infrastructure. It's the community that's building out, the things that, have the potential for traction and longevity. We saw GameFi, we saw memes have a lot of traction, have, staying power. So this is, I gotta be honest with you, this is more flushed out, seems like, than what I might have thought, which is great to see, because just hearing you talk about this stuff, I'm already kind of getting excited for the potential, because I could totally see, whenever like entire YouTube channels or streamers dedicated to playing this and maybe other kind of stuff. We've seen that happen already. Why couldn't that happen in Pulsechain? It's happened. It's already happened. So why not Pulsechain? And what something else that interests me is, what have you guys seen as, I don't want to say if barriers or things to kind of solve as the major inhibitor to growth in this niche? Like, what do you see as kind of the obstacle that needs to be, kind of overcome in order to see traction in this niche specifically?
In Web3 gaming specifically, or on Pulsechain specifically?
SocialFi and GameFi, maybe in general, but also Pulsechain. Yeah,
I mean, I don't think there are many barriers to entry for this, right? The audience are there. It exists on different chains. I mean, you talk about Axie Infinity and stuff like that, right? All of the crowd, if you like, are there. They just don't know that this is on Pulsechain, because they don't know what Pulsechain is, right? It ultimately comes down to getting eyes on Pulsechain. How do we get eyes on Pulsechain? Is it literally Richard Hart winning against the SEC? Maybe. Is it if Richard Hart ever decided to give us 10,000 X's or 100,000 X's on something, right? Is that right? Is that newsworthy? Yes. I mean, those big numbers. Everyone loves big numbers. It's really just about that. And the thing is, once people come here, we need them to stay here. And the only way we can get them to stay here is if they have stuff to do here. I know there's I know obviously protocols like liquid loans, right? Liquid loans, what a fantastic principle, what a fantastic project, right? I mean, really, like it's still, I mean, it's one of those projects I think, wow, like that is really well thought out. Well done, guys. Will it ever see real glory like we think? I hope so, right? I hope so. There's a bunch of different things out there which can do the same for getting us attention. There's a lot of really well thought out projects and builders, right? We have Giftech here, Giffordware from Giftech and Pulsar, building amazing things, trying to get people from Ethereum over to Pulsechain, especially from the Titan X environments, right? Trying to get all of those guys over here, and he's succeeded a lot of the way. we need to keep on building, because eventually the crowd will come. Eventually they'll come. And if we have this, this shining city on a hill when they get here, that's Pulse is doing fantastic. So literally, I mean, really, when Pulse starts taking off, I don't see how even the crappiest of different small little projects, just if we talk about Heartslow on itself, they're going to start printing, right? Everyone's going to start printing.
Dude, it's really interesting you brought up that point specifically, because the one thing I like to say is that the job of a founder, in a sense, is easy. And let me explain what I mean by that, because in a sense it's not, but in one sense it is, where if you just stick around and build something legitimate and be honest and build with good intentions, that already puts you above and beyond in a different league, because there's so many other people who are scammers, who are rug pullers, who don't have good intentions, who don't act or behave reasonably. And so all you really have to do is kind of just, in a sense, stick around. If you just stick around and be honest and be well-intentioned, you're already doing so much better. You're already in a different league above and beyond, a lot of other people. And a bull market does make up for quite a bit. And the bull market has not hit Pulsechain land, man. And you're right. We have so many great builders building so many great things. I even saw Peanut Brain. He's a dev. He's helping me out with some stuff. We have a lot of great builders in here, man, and I think we're very well positioned here. Like I was just looking at my other screen here. Gala Games is at $1.8 billion market cap. I don't even know if that's fully diluted. It could be more, but that's at today's valuations. That if the bull market continues, I wouldn't be surprised if that does a couple X's. So you're looking at kind of similar things that are already, in the billions. Could be well into the tens of billions one day. So what could happen on Pulsechain?
Exactly.
Why couldn't we be a significant part of that? Why couldn't you guys be a significant part of that? There is tremendous opportunity here, and we have not seen a bull market, guys. We haven't seen it, and I'm betting that one day it'll come around. And I think I'm probably preaching to the choir when I say that. So this is going to be very interesting days, because right now it seems like we're at the bottom of, or we are in a depressive, valley here, right?
Oh, I'd go as far as to say Pulsechain is still in its own little bear market. Nothing is moving. Nothing is moving, right? Nothing is moving. We want it to move, but Ethereum won't move yet. So
Yeah, we're very tied to Ethereum, and I do think the macro situation with Richard is not irrelevant. I'm hopeful that with Gary Gensler getting kicked out soon, I was very tempted to call him what Somi on your stream. And if we have someone more pro crypto, guys, like I don't know if I brought this up already on stream, but if the SEC gets their budget slashed, or if they just have a more pro crypto chair and a more pro crypto environment, which I think during this last election, I might be wrong about this, but the crypto industry was one of, if not the top donor to political campaigns in the US. I don't know if that was just Republicans.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah. So I think that's likely to bear a return for the industry. And I think we're likely to see the ramifications of that very soon. So it's entirely possible that, this case, the SEC could review all their cases, say, hey guys, we're going to drop all the cases that are against our new, philosophical disposition. And we could have the case dropped. We could see a white swan of it. We see nothing but a lot of negative events. Sooner or later, we're going to see a positive one, right? And if ETH is doing better, cases dropped, or whatever else positive happens, Trump starts buying, 500,000 Bitcoin on the open market, whatever it is. I think at some point we're likely to see, a white swan event. Bitcoin, Ethereum being euphoric, Bitcoin at 150K, 250K, whatever it is, ETH at 7, 10, whatever it is. I think that'll go a long way. to to improving the sentiment here on Pulsechain land, and things that are well positioned to capitalize on that. Man, it's a very blessed position we're in a sense, because there's still opportunity. Things here are still cheap. There's a lot of stuff that have been doing very well in other chains, and shout out to them. But the problem with that is that you're buying into momentum. You're not buying a value play. You're buying something that's already expensive. And at least over here, there's quite a lot of cheap things, and buying cheap matters. So there's definitely a lot of opportunity here. I think what you guys are building is really great here. I'm very excited by the things you've been saying so far. I forget if you mentioned it or if I just forgot, but in terms of the full go, full live, what's the situation looking like with that?
Yeah, so we still have another few phases to go, but I mean, really, the map update, setting up the metaverse, that was by far the biggest. I mean, obviously we're building a metaverse game, so building out the actual metaverse itself was the time-consuming part. After this, we have a few small things to do. So we have a marketing DAO, which is going to be coming around, so the community can actually vote with their Mafia tokens. They can actually vote on different marketing avenues that we go down. Whether it's we pay off some pretty big streamers and we do some heavy-duty banner ads on deck screener type thing, all of that. So again, that's going to be sort of partially community ran, right? After that, then we have a pretty big update, which is going to be the kill simulator. So obviously, before the game goes live, we want people to know what's involved if they kill someone, or if they get killed within the game, without literally them losing all their their resource straight away. So so we need to be able to teach people about that. A few small bits like that. So I really think we're definitely on the back end now. We're on the home stretch, if you like.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a matter of time. I really won't put I can't put a date on it, right? Because obviously we don't know. But we do know that the remaining steps that we have are not very big steps now. We're absolutely over the hump. We're on the way. And like I say, the guys out there, all the families have, they're all getting their their ducks in a row, their territory sorted out, they're ranking up their characters, they're buying all their resources. There's people literally making money right now in the NFT marketplace. They're making money by selling these inventory items. People are already putting some of the land for sale on the NFT marketplace as well. So there's a lot to do, even for the players, right? For the players and stuff right now, there's a lot to do. And there's a lot for them to be able to actually technically make money on. So if you wanted to say, with the map update, is the game live? Yeah, it's kind of live, but you can't go and rob a hot dog vendor, or you can't go and rob a bank yet, or you can't you can't literally kill another player yet. All that is coming, and it's coming shortly.
I see. So you can kind of get started as of now, but the full game with its full functionality is still yet to come. Yeah,
we're in early access. I mean, obviously there's things like a communications tab, right? So in this, one of the big things that players will be able to do, they're actually going to have I want to call it something like their own Gmail, so you can actually contact other players, and you can have other players engage with themselves, engage with each other strictly through the dApp itself, right? Through their own messaging system. Or we're finding that a lot of people are actually playing the game, like I say, on Telegram, because in the Telegram chats, people can literally go and have their own sort of conversations. A lot of the families have their own Telegram channels now, even for recruitment, and for their, if you want to call it their meetings, their backdoor meetings, all this type of stuff. I mean, it's all happening. So even though literally you can't walk down the street right now and kill someone, there's a lot you can do, and you can earn money right now playing the game right now.
That's super cool. It's really cool to see you guys building out these little these niches, these subcultures, these sub communities already so early on. One thing I did want to ask too, the decision to create a differentiation between the in-game currency and the Mafia token, was that simply because it's just easier to do that mechanically building out the game? I imagine if you can collect I imagine it might be easier to not have every in-game like financial transaction have to go on the blockchain kind of thing. It would make things smoother. Was that kind of the thinking behind that? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and with the in-game currency, because obviously this is going to be a multi-token ecosystem, right? So Mafia, Bullets, and Health externally, all three can be bridged into the game. All three can be exchanged. In-game cash can be exchanged for any of these to bridge out of the game. For example, if you have bullets in the game, you can also bridge those out to actual bullet token and sell those again later. So because of the way those external three token mechanics work, the in-game currency is the only one actually that doesn't have a set supply, because obviously it just gets minted as things are done in the game. And then there are other ways that it gets destroyed in the game to sort of keep that balance. But with Bullets, Health, and actually with Mafia token itself, there's only 1 billion tokens, never any more. And one of the key features of Mafia is staking Mafia within the game to get access to all these other things, right? To get access to all these other different parts of the game. Building up your land. So when you get a land crate or land tile, you can start off maybe with an empty one, and you can slowly rank that up the same way you rank up a character. So rank up with a shed, a house, a villa, a hotel, a family headquarters. So you can actually rank up the tiles as well as ranking up your players.
And that all contributes to the ranking. Is that right?
That considers to the ranking and also to the family's worth, right? Because if you have a lot of land, then with that land, you can earn yield on that land. So for example, if you have a hotel in game, that is basically printing in-game cash, because you have a hotel. People need to stay in hotels.
Oh, man.
I can see Gifford Ware just commented here. He said in-game cash is actually processed on the blockchain, just not with actual crypto tokens.
Interesting. How so? Not as like a NFT or is it like you're referring to maybe just the finalization of the transaction being processed on the blockchain?
Because obviously that would have to be tied to your character, to a player, and obviously there has to be that transparency there and the security.
Okay. Yeah. Now you mentioned there was a couple different. So how many currencies are involved in this ecosystem? I mean, you mentioned the NFTs, you mentioned the in-game currency, the Mafia. You said there was a couple others, the Bullet.
Yeah, so Bullets and Health tokens. So they're in this game. So they will be tokens. They're not live yet. That's again part of our structure, because they're not needed right now. Bullets and Health, they're not needed externally at the moment. But they will be real tokens. They will have their decks. And one thing which we have already seen in game, so in the crates, when you actually open the crates for the marketplace, you can actually buy Bullets or you can buy Health tokens right now. In one of the business items that's actually in the game is a Bullet factory. So basically, if you are a player and you're lucky enough to own this Bullet factory, you're effectively owning the admin keys of a contract which mints new bullets. And then you, as a player who owns that business item, can then sell those bullets to other players, or you can externally bridge them out and sell them on the marketplace. So that would be like one of the most prized business items in the game. And because it's one of the most prized business items in the game, people can come and try and take that from you.
I see. Okay, so if people wanted to learn more here, what's the best way? Join the Telegram, follow the
join the Telegrams. I will put, I have a banner here so people can actually see it. So jump into the Telegrams. You can literally just go to the website, right, pulsemafia.io or bnbmafia.io, have a look at our in-game wiki. The wiki is very intensive document. It has a lot of stuff on there, but it basically teaches you every single thing you need to know about the game. And it is a fluid document, right? It's a living document, because obviously we're in early access. So that gets updated and changed, quite regular. Also, even if the community have some good suggestions, they can bring it to the team. And if it's worthy, then, the team will literally implement it. We've seen already some team ideas, some community ideas which have been onboarded into the game.
Oh yeah, right on. Like anything come to mind?
Well, right now, I think one of the items was with the stake in the Mafia tokens. One of the original players did actually a Don in one of the families. He would say, okay, well, if if I wanted to process the vault payments to my family, if I have 50 people in the family, do I literally have to do 50 different transactions, give it to, each one of them? Because that could take forever. But now I think it's a feature you just like claim all or pay all, and that immediately gets sent. It's just all that kind of thing. So it's, not just that, but obviously with Kool-Aid then, and some of I'm pretty sure he had a lot of input with the actual physicalities of the map too.
So is staking currently live for the Mafia?
Yes. So in Mafia, you can literally buy your token, you can stake it in the game, and then before game launch, if you stake Mafia tokens, you can earn 0.5% interest every single day in the form of in-game cash. And then when the full game goes live, you'll receive your Mafia tokens back plus your in-game cash yield. So that again is live right now.
Oh man, this is
there's lots of ways. There's lots of ways to get paid in this game already, even before we launch.
Yeah. And what intrigues me about all this is this seems to be pretty in depth, pretty well thought out, and the fact that you guys have managed to build up such a pool, just under 7 billion pulse. In this little amount of time, and this little amount of like volume, like on-chain wise, like on-chain volume is very, very low. All it takes is a little bit of traction, a little bit of volume, and that could increase quite a bit, very significantly. And I again, the thing that was like interesting, for me about this conversation is I haven't seen anyone really take the lead on this niche yet in Pulsechain. Like, you would probably know far better than I. Is there really a lot of development in this space? Not from what I've seen.
None.
It seems like
Web3 gaming. Ali Kane, another Irish fella. Ali has Pulse Wars. It's like a fantasy league fighting game.
Oh, okay.
He has that. But when it comes to things like metaverse, no, we're like the first. Only.
Right. Yeah, man. That's really cool stuff. That's really interesting. So I think I want to. I might start up an account.
I think you should.
I think I will. I think this is
for the sake of 2000 Mafia, I think you should do that, because I can already see here. I can already see her again in the chat. GIF is saying, "Hey, feel free to DM."
Sure, I'd love to. I'll reach out. Yeah. This is really interesting. This is the kind of this is the time to be paying attention to things, to be learning, to be well positioned when when people start coming. I like this niche quite a bit. I like this idea quite a bit, and like shout out to you guys. This seems to be pretty fleshed out. I'm very much looking forward to kind of seeing the full thing. And what intrigues me is like how much you guys have seemingly gotten done so far. Like so early on.
And like I say, like the map itself was building out the metaverse was by far the biggest part, and now we're kind of on the home stretch. So there's a lot happening, there's a lot going on, and like I say, having this ready and finished when Pulsechain starts to rip, that's what we want. We want to be here when that happens, because I keep saying, as an onboarding tool, this is fantastic. It really is. As an educational tool for people that are kind of new to crypto, there might be some gamers out there who don't really know much about crypto, but you come in here and have a look at this game, and this game pretty much has everything DeFi wrapped up in the game. You can understand what staking is and how staking works. Yield versus inflationary yield. You can know what an NFT is and how it works, and then if you want to sell it, how to sell an NFT. All of these type of things. And not only that, the community itself, we have people who really don't know anything about gaming, and know a bit about crypto, and then we have some of the best developers that are on Pulsechain also here, actually playing the game along with us.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah, we have everyone. We have this community that we're building out and fleshing out, and people are really starting to get to know each other. I think at this stage, there's a lot of friendships being made.
Yeah,
probably a few enemies being made as well along the way.
Sure.
I have to say, but that's the name of the game, right?
Yeah. No, this seems like another great, I don't know if like a networking thing is the right way to put it, but I mean, you guys are building up a community, which is great to see, man. Like 6.96 billion pulse is pretty impressive for how early on this is. I mean, this is already triggering my FOMO a little bit, right? Like I want to be like, ooh, let's Let's create a map. Let's create a character. Let's get some traction on this thing. Because man, those payouts with a little bit of traction, a little bit of volume can be quite significant. We've already seen, I think, just kind of proof of concept, frankly, for this niche GameFi, SocialFi. With the SocialFi aspect of that, how are you guys thinking about incorporating the SocialFi? I know you mentioned how, you know, people are already kind of building out like Telegram groups and stuff like that. But do you plan on like fleshing out the SocialFi side of this more, or is it mostly just game?
Well, yeah, I mean, no, I mean, as much as possible. I mean, right now, I want to say, off the top of my head, split between the two chains, we probably have 8 or 9 content creators within families already, who, you know, some of them make more content than others. As we start to go along, you know, we will start to really see that. I mean, I was actually on stream with GIF a few days ago, and he was saying, you know, as one of the things, because they're actively recruiting for their families, and they actually have a few different families set up in a few different places. They're very strategic about what they're doing. Nice. And you know, and he was saying this as part of his family, and as he wants his family to grow, and I'm sure a lot of the other families feel the same. You know, they want the people who are really good at gaming, right? They want the people who are really good at crypto. They want people who have, you know, maybe deep pockets. You know, they want people who, you know, create content for them. I mean, ultimately, this game, as this game keeps, you know, continues to progress. I mean, this is a game probably that could realistically, I mean, it could last, you know, decades. Right? It's going to be on chain forever. You know, as long as people are playing, this game just continues to go. And who says that, you know, as every cycle comes around, there's a new modification to this game. It gets a little bit more realistic. Maybe it does eventually one day turn into a GTA type game. But right now, we have to start somewhere. And, you know, right now, the amount of, I mean, I keep coming back to it, but it's a fact, right? The amount of money that can be made on this just means that if it does get the attention that kind of it deserves, is it the next Axie Infinity? Probably. Is it the next Clash of Clans? Probably. You know, can it grow into something much bigger? I remember early on, Jacob, our head dev, I remember he was on stream and someone asked him what the ultimate goal of this was, and he said, oh, he wants a big game company to come and buy it off him. And then he could just manage it, you know, having a full game, which is on blockchain. The full game is on chain, you know, not just a couple of pieces here and there. Right? This is a full game on chain, and it works on chain. And we have a fledgling community, which is called Pulsechain, and we have the best decentralized blockchain, which is called Pulsechain. You know, we have all of these things. So, I mean, all it takes, like you say, all it takes is that spark, that one spark. And this can absolutely fly, and it deserves it. Pulsechain, we deserve a few wins on our end, right? Pulsechain, and if we have some real innovation out there, this is the world's first. You know, this is the world's first type product on Pulsechain. You know, and it's, you know, we have the builders here building out the right tech. We're building out the right things. The tech is impressive. The community are really starting to get traction now. You know, we have some people here who've, you know, they're really building this out for the long term, to play this game for the long term, because they, you know, they can see. I know that some of the, again, GIF, when I was on with him the other day, I mean, he's a developer, and he says when he looked at some of this code and these smart contracts, and he was like, okay, this is really actually really impressive stuff. You know, and that's come from someone that really knows these things. So if I speak to enough people that tell me those type of things, then how can we not win?
Yeah, it's we're incredibly lucky to be on Pulsechain because we haven't been flooded in with big money VCs kind of thing. The community has the opportunity to build out the infrastructure now, and it's interesting what a bull market allows for, because you remember during the previous peak 2021 cycle, I mean, everyone with a dollar was, beating the door to kind of talk to their money management people. What's our crypto strategy? What can we invest in? What can we buy in? And right now, especially in Pulsechain, the state of things is the exact opposite. There's none of that. Everyone's all scared. Everyone, is the sentiment is not there. But we all clearly can see how we can very much so one day reach that place. Like, things can get very, very big. Like, why couldn't Mafia be up there with Axie Infinity Gala Games? Why not? Why couldn't it?
Yeah,
Why couldn't
exactly.
meme coins on Pulsechain be up there with Brett, Shiba, Doge? Why couldn't it? It's super early days, man, and our chain really hasn't seen anything. The way I like to put it is that, frankly, all we've seen so far, with a little bit of development and price action we've seen, is just proof of concept, frankly, and nothing more than that. We really haven't seen the traction kick in yet, and that's where you want to be looking to find alpha, right? Like when you try and find something undervalued that really hasn't caught on so much, sure, there's the added risk, but there's also the risk of the upside as well. Like if you go and chase Solana, okay, great, you're riding a momentum wave, maybe, or maybe you're buying a top, but at least over here you're getting in on the ground floor, both value wise and infrastructure wise. So I think I'm preaching to the choir when I say that, but in terms of the future, from today's perspective, there's so much opportunity in Pulsechain land. You know what I mean?
There really is. I mean, look, anyone that's out there, Brandon's channel is in the description. Go and follow him. Make sure you do, right? Make sure you like, subscribe, all of that really good stuff around here, because it's really what we need, right? I am very happy with the way things are going. We definitely have to do this again, Brandon. Definitely.
I'd be down. I'm trying to get much more active myself. Like you mentioned in the beginning, I really kind of wound down during the bear market. I was active on X and stuff, but I stopped making content. I want to start making a lot more content moving forward. There's so many interesting things going on in Pulsechain land. Even for myself, I'm starting to get much more active in terms of doing stuff. I launched my own ticker not too long ago, Evie. I think
I saw that.
Yeah. Look, just to take a moment to just say what I'm up to. I think the meme coin space has a lot of opportunity. I mean, the market's shown us that there's potential there, and I think with pokey tickers, there's traction there, there's stickiness there, there's brand recognition there, and so I'm actually working on. I think I mentioned this earlier with the Peanut Burn guys to actually flush out that ecosystem further, and we actually have some very interesting things planned that we're working on. So my point is that I'm getting much more active moving forward. I think now we're getting, again, I've said this, but we're getting pretty close to that time where if things were going to start kicking off, it's not years and years away. It's likely it's gone from us talking about years to us talking about months. Likelihood, obviously, it's all speculation. I don't know. But if you guys, want to keep up with my shenanigans, check out the channel, check out the X. I am very active and can be very opinionated. So if you don't mind that, give me a follow.
Definitely do. Go and follow him. Right, go and follow him. Jump into the telegrams yourself, man.
I will.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, cool. We'll have a chat over there.
Sure.
Right. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thanks very much for that. We'll be back again. I have a stream coming up with Superman in a couple of days. So we'll be doing that. We're talking Mafia. I will be on. I'm just confirming dates, but I'm setting up a stream with myself, Jacob, RH Max, and potentially GIF, if you're there, GIF, if you'd like to jump on too. The whole idea of this one, because we've already been on with RH Max before, the whole idea of this one is really to get into the weeds of it and get into the tech. People keep saying the tech is really cool, but I think having Jacob and having GIF, some actual developers who really know what they're doing, kind of master developers on chain, I really want to say, get over there and jump into that. Will be an amazing chat. I'm guessing it will get a little bit nerdy, and I mean that in the best way possible, right? So if you guys want to do that, keep your eyes peeled and your ears open for that one, right? Because that one's going to be great. Okay, thanks very much, boys and girls. I will catch you on the next one.
Giffordware, it's an honor.
Got an anonymous tip, boss.
This is it. We stage the heist tonight.
And keep an eye on Kool-Aid. He's been known to water the plants.
Let's keep the plants out of this and focus on the job.
All right, Johnny, I'm sorry.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.